Well, good afternoon. If it's Mondays, 3 o'clock Eastern, it's Mondays with Michael live here on Facebook. Hoping everyone had a great weekend. If you're watching this in the room, thanks for popping in. And if you're watching this post session, whether it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, or even here on Facebook, either my feed or the company feed, thanks for checking us out. And if you're not connected to us via social media, please do. We're very active, do a lot of posting, have a lot of great content that we post out. And so please follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Don't do much on Instagram here. We do more about that with the foundation. But please connect with us on our social media sites. Excuse me. I've been on the back end of a little cold, so if my voice sounds a little different today, I apologize. But I hope everyone had a great weekend and is ready for a nice, busy week here. So today's session is going to be a little different than our normal sessions. So I am going to talk about one of our products, an ancillary product, if you will. But I do get a lot of calls from clients, and I even get sometimes in the classroom with participants. I've done the DiSC, whether it's workplace or one of the other DiSC assessments that we use. And so I took the DiSC, I've done DiSC, so now I'm done with DiSC, right? Well, the answer to that question really is no, you're not really done with this. It's because you've taken the assessment, and whether you've taken it as part of a learning program that has other parts of the program, or like we do, we come in and teach just DiSC in some form or another. Once you've done taking DiSC, you're not done with DiSC. There's the whole application of DiSC in your everyday life, whether it be at work, whether it be at home. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, what happens in the classroom. And then we're going to talk about one particular tool that we hope you are interested in using. And if you want to learn more about it, as always, you can contact us here with whatever social media you're looking at. Just send me a message. So first of all, let's talk about what happens in the classroom. So what happens in the classroom when we teach DiSC is we're always trying to tie it back to either a manager, a supervisor, employee relationship. We're also applying it to a teen-person relationship. We're applying it to a leader and a group relationship. So when we teach DiSC, we're talking about building better work relationships, because at the end of the day, if you and I are on the same team and you and I get along to working together better, the team will get along better and the work will get done better. So if you're on a team of 10 and everyone at the individual level is working better together, hopefully you produce a better product. If you're a supervisor or a boss and you get along and work better together with all of your direct reports individually at the individual level, will they produce better for you? If I have a better working relationship with Mary, John, and Sue, will they perform at a higher level? And I hope the answer to that question is yes. So we want to try to tie some of that in, that application post-session, into the actual training session. And how do we do that? Well, we do have several activities along the way. We talk about communicating and communicating with others. When we do DiSC, we try to put people in their lifestyle groups, and each lifestyle group introduces themselves to each other, and they start talking about how best to work with them from a style perspective. So as a participant, you're already learning about, I'm over here in this quadrant, but the folks over there, they really like it if I slow down a little bit, or over there, they really like it if I speed up a little bit, or over here, they like more information. Over there, they want a little more directness. So you're starting to get some of the nuances of the style, so when you go back to the workplace, you can start thinking about how to apply. Now, the assessment that you're using, whether it's workplace, work of leaders, management, does give you a lot of tips, a lot of stuff you can take back and then use when you start going into these interactions with other folks at the workplace or these other communication situations. But toward the end of the session, we try to get folks into small groups when it comes to action planning, because we're teaching everybody this stuff, and most trainers believe in action planning, but how committed are your individual participants to the action plan? So we try to break folks down toward the end in groups of 2 or 3. We call them accountability partners. We call them learning partners, with somebody that you can follow up with in a couple weeks. Make a commitment to follow up on some of the action items that the assessment has asked you to do, and really make an effort to try to put that forward. On top of that, we always introduce the myeverythingdisc.com site. It's a website built by Wiley that you can use post-training to learn more about DiSC, learn more about yourself, but the most important part of that is you'll be able to connect with others on the portal. And so if you have a group of 7, 8, 9 people on a team, you all register, you all can connect to each other. And then on screen within the portal, you can compare your style to someone else's style. And you can start seeing where each of you are on the graphs and how you can better relate and communicate with each other. You can also build teams. But the other part on the portal that you can actually print off is what we call the comparison report. You can use this comparison report with any Everything DiSC product, and we usually bring samples of these to our training classes and leave them on the tables, and participants get a feel for what these reports look like. Now, depending on how much time we have in the class, and a lot of our trainers do this, they actually have participants register on the portal and actually connect with somebody in the class and bring these reports with them, and then have this first discussion face-to-face in the classroom, and it gets facilitated in the classroom. We do have a small job aid that we give from time to time to participants to walk them through this process. But most of all, we give them the report, and the report is really built on me and you. I call it the me-you relationship. Me-you relationship report. And the report breaks down into several different areas, and it gives you 10 pages that you can sit down with an individual on and really take a look at different things. It gives you where your scores are in several different areas, and it gives you their scores in those same areas. So we go daring, careful, skeptical, accepting, outgoing, private, patient-driven, tactful, frank, accommodating, strong will. So depending on where you are on these scales, it'll have what your scores are and what their scores are. Grab a cup of coffee, you sit down, and you walk through this report like, how can you and I work better together? How can you and I work better together? Because if you and I work better together, and then me and Joe work better together, and me and Mary work better together, and then we're all working better together. So this is another tool that you can use. Now again, we practice in the classroom, but this is something that really should be done post-session. It gives you a reason to go back into the portal, connect with somebody, run a report, sit down, grab a cup of coffee. That's at the team level. Now when we do supervisory skill training using the portal, we recommend that every manager run one of these reports on all of their direct reports. And during the review process or coaching process, whatever they do internally to manage performance, you have a conversation with that individual and how you as a boss and, how can we work better together from a communication standpoint. This gives you a lot of tips. Gives you a lot of tips so you can do that. Now, granted, there are going to be folks that report to you that you get along like two peas in the pod. You're probably on the same side of this circle, and you probably are focused on a lot of the same things. But there may be folks on the other side of this circle that this is going to come in handy for you, and having this sit down would be a really, really good idea. Now, when I teach the class, we get to a point in the class where we go through all this stuff, and I tell the group that, I've worked with a lot of teams over a lot of years, and I find that there are usually 2 or 3 folks on the team, mostly senior teams, but not only senior teams, but teams we work on, that seem to have an issue, and they've had this issue for a long time. And something happened a while ago, and it's rubbed somebody the wrong way, or rubbed a couple people the wrong way, and they're still having this issue. It's still out there. It still gets in the way of stuff being worked on. I really, really encourage them, and I do get I pontificate a little bit here, like, need to be adults here. You have to have this conversation. And part of that conversation could be starting with this assessment. And I do get calls, I do get emails from participants that, that little thing you said about having the conversation, my boss and I finally had the conversation we needed to have. We used the profile, we used the assessment, we used the comparison report as a tool in that process. And guess what? We're working better together. It's not perfect, but we're making really, really good strides. And that's all you can ask is you're making progress. You're making progress. You're trying something new. You learn something in the classroom. You're bringing it back to the workplace. You're running a comparison report. You're making an effort to really work better with your teammates. And this is another step in the toolkit for trainers, HR directors, and for supervisors to work with their teams and to really get them to gel together. Now, we have other programs to take them kind of to the next level. We'll talk about those as we move forward. But I really want to talk about today, you're not done with DiSC just because you took DiSC. You have to apply DiSC to your workplace, to your teams, to people who report to you, people that you report to. So managing up. It's very, very important that you apply DiSC to everyday work life. So that's about it for today's session. Next week's session is on recruiting and hiring. We'll talk about one of the tools we use in recruiting and hiring. So please join in. This is Mondays with Michael Live here on Facebook. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next Monday. Take care. Bye.